Seemed like things kind of got away from you guys there at the end of the third quarter. Just how much of a killer was that sequence for you guys?
You know what? I think, first of all, it was. And I just said I probably shouldn't have called the timeout. I'm going to lose it going into the fourth. And you think maybe if you can get a matchup down the court, then that's a good thing. Otherwise, be safe. And I shouldn't have done that. And then we just didn't respond to that. We didn't respond well. You know, getting back cut for that dunk, and then the start of the fourth, you know, we needed to respond better than that, and we didn't. We'll be in that position again where, you know, something bad happens and the air gets taken out of your team a little bit, and you have to respond. And tonight we didn't do that against a good team who took advantage of it.
Do you know how to shut
What was supposed to happen on that inbounds play?
Well, there's a deep look, but we had safeties, and so you know, ultimately, if you can get a matchup you like on the deep look, we've thrown that before and had good success. But you know, obviously, didn't work, and you know, again, that's on me for calling the timeout.
Brad, Jason's in a pretty long three-point shooting rut. Is there anything you're seeing in him? Do you feel like he's pressing at all, or anything these past few weeks?
I thought tonight it seemed like he took more, which was good. I mean, I think you know he's a really good shooter. He's a very capable shooter, and I think that ultimately he's going to knock those down. At times when you're struggling, it's all about getting in the gym and shooting your way through it. And you know, for some guys it's about don't take them, but for him it's shoot your way through it, because you know, that has to be one of his strengths. He's a good shooter with wonderful touch, and we need him to be a threat from out there, and he is. People are still running at him like he's making them all.
Coach, in that stretch, were they doing anything execution-wise in the beginning of the fourth quarter? Because you were playing some of your best defense.
We were playing decent defense up to that point. I thought that they got us. Obviously they back cut us on the baseline out of bounds at the end of the third, and then they got the lob dunk on a play that they've run before, and they ran against us last time. That we just didn't get the ball going the way ultimately we'd like to get it going, but that's easier said than done on the fly. You know, those were two easy buckets that kind of get you feeling really good about yourself and deflated us. And I thought that we, you know, again, we didn't handle that well. And, you know, but hopefully we will the next time, because it's going to happen again.
In the fourth, there were a couple timeouts where they were able to swing it to the shooter in the corner, and you guys didn't close out enough, and you called the timeout right after that. Are those issues more of a concern of guys aren't reading the floor right and kind of getting out in position in time, or is it just kind of communicating who's supposed to take care of the big down the middle and who's supposed to run out to spread the floor?
Each one's a little different. Depends on what your coverage is. Depends on who's low, who's high, who you're guarding, what they shoot. You know, all that stuff. So it'd have to be, you know, we'd have to go through them probably specifically film by film, but they got open in the corner some there in the late third, early fourth, or late third and fourth, and that really hurt us.
Looked like Isaiah got pretty emotional during the reception. He obviously got a chance to get him. What did you think about the way the crowd kind of reacted to him, and just kind of having a moment like that here tonight?
Well-deserved 10 times over. You know, like, I can't say enough great things about Isaiah. I know I could sit up here all night, and certainly that video tribute was great. Our people did a great job on it. It was emotional, and it could have lasted a lot longer. So greatly appreciative of our time together, and you know, I was glad that he got that moment.
Brad, it looks like the bench was outscored by 10 in a 9-point game.
Yep.
What kind of difference would Gordon Hayward have made in a game like this tonight?
Well, I mean, Gordon's a really good player, but we don't make excuses like that. So our guys, their bench has been good all year. They've had guys out. We've had guys out. You just have to play with who's available, and those guys have to play great. And, ultimately we came up a little bit short. And, I think sometimes people think the other coaches are just saying this, but, like, Denver's really good, and they took advantage of us. Like, when we hit that skid, they punished us, both inside and out. And I thought that their bench, Monte Morris, Plumlee, Beasley, those guys have been good all year. And I thought they made big plays today, especially Torrey Craig. With that 5-point run at the end of the third quarter, that was huge.
Brad, you guys got out-rebounded by, I think, 14 tonight.
Yep.
Nuggets are a pretty big team. Can you just talk about your thought process about when to play Baines and Horford together, and how do you kind of match up with that size?
Yeah, that's a good question. I thought that they got us on rebounding as much off of getting inside of our defense and moving us all over the place as they did the size. So the size certainly played a factor on a couple of them, Millsap especially. But Millsap also gets them against when you're bigger because he's quick. So that's kind of a catch-22 there. But we've been a good defensive rebounding team for the most part this year, and whether we've been undersized or not. So as far as making the decision on whether to go big, double bigs like that or not, a lot of times this is how spread out those guys make you. And credit their bigs. They made big shots. Jokic hit a couple of threes there. Millsap with the 3 late. Those guys are good players.
Right. You guys seem to get your share of turnovers and turn them over a lot, but couldn't turn those into points. Or there was, guys maybe pressing a little too much or trying to play the hero ball thing. How do you rectify that? And secondly, would you refer to kind of learning from the experience of the end of the third quarter? Is it, game 70, is it too, is there enough time to learn that for the players?
Well, you see it in the playoffs all the time, right? People have played 82 games, 90 games, 100 games. The circumstances of a game and the emotions of the game are hard to move past, but the great ones do. The great teams do. And that's just what you want to get to. You want to get, you want to get tough enough as a group to be able to move on to what's next. That doesn't always happen. Every game's unique, but you want to be able to do that as much of the time as possible. So I do think that even though it is game 70, 71, whatever it is, yeah, you remember this. You can sit back in the huddle and say, when that happened last time, this ain't happening again. And there can be a resolve in that. There can be a teamness in that. But it's going to take us to sit in there and do it for it to happen. And, we'll see.